Taking the volunteering module in that second year was really helpful for me, actually. That gave me a foot in the door experience of working on an adult psychiatric ward, and that really helped towards my CV and adding that clinical experience so that I can use that in job interviews. So that module was really helpful, and obviously you get support like supervision support whilst you're in there, and there's a lot of reflective practice within that, and that is really, really helpful because that also mentally prepares you for when you're going into those interviews and you need to know what to say and how to deliver that in a way which is appropriate. And I think just that personal tutor supervision really helps to guide you, giving the right effort, giving the right kind of where am I in my degree. I think that really helped to give me like a good confidence boost in myself. Another thing which gave me confidence, which I guess isn't on the career side of things, but just as like a young person and trying to figure out, you know, maybe more further ahead in my future where I could potentially live or work, was when I took the study abroad. So I did the Erasmus study abroad to Mid Sweden University, and that was during my second year, and I was really, really lucky to get that opportunity, especially during the time just before Brexit. So it's a bit really, really a shame that it's not how it was before. But yeah, just doing that and seeing how it is to study psychology in another uni abroad just really opened my eyes to just how big the world is and how much out there I just don't know. And sometimes I think in London it seems like such a microcosm, like that's a whole world in itself and there's so much going on, but there's also so much beyond that.
Just to pick out some of the points you've raised before asking Jasmine, you talked about the employability module, and you said that was really significant for you. You also talked about the tutorial support, and then you found that to be useful in terms of thinking about your career afterwards. And then you also talked about the study abroad module, which sounds like a really precious experience as well for you.
The employability module that I did actually helped me find another charity that kind of did the same thing. So I was mentoring year 8 and year 9s after school. That was really beneficial because ultimately I wanted to become children's therapist and get more into that. It kind of got my foot in the door of helping children and mentoring them and ensuring their safety. Don't be alarmed and don't be hesitant in actually volunteering or doing an internship. I know that you mightn't have bills to pay and stuff like that, but any experience is amazing. There's so many things out there that you could do that could help you in the near future or try and get you by. Also speak to your tutor. That's what you have them for. They're amazing at what they do. They help you in regards to anything that you need. So use them as much as you can.
I had prior experience working in a sort of hospital setting before, but it wasn't for a long duration of time. So I thought it would be good to kind of explore that within this module. And for me, it had a different effect in the sense that I realized that's not a setting which I kind of see myself in the long term. So the module itself made me kind of realize that I probably want to explore a different field. That's not to say that I kind of knew what I wanted to do initially. I think the cognitive and clinical neuroscience is a very interdisciplinary course in the sense that it combines the neuro and psychology side a lot more, so that there is kind of, I guess, in terms of the options you have, is quite broad. And I think during the course of my time at Westminster, I was having conversations with the Careers Network. So I was speaking to sort of career advisors on these kind of ideas that were coming into my head around what I wanted to maybe explore. I think there was a time when I wanted to go into the pharma industry, and there was a time when I wanted to go into research assistant. So I was very kind of undecided. It was a case of where I started to kind of explore a bit more of the job roles that were coming in through the uni career service. So I was kind of going through that a bit more, trying to see like what's out there. And I think that's when I kind of decided that I might need to perhaps do a postgraduate course to kind of eventually go into those fields a bit more.
So hearing that question, what first came to mind actually was not work. What it affected were actually me doing a post-grad, going to uni and doing a master's, because in my head I kind of thought, well, I'd rather get a job than going to uni and everything being virtual and online. It just didn't really sell the full uni experience, which I'd essentially be investing my money and my time into. So that's more what put up a barrier for me doing masters actually straight out of uni rather than getting a job. But on the job side of things, COVID still has set up many barriers, especially in terms of like just communication when you apply for jobs, just the communication being a lot slower, interviews not being in person, it being online. You have to really adapt to that. It's still something which I'd rather be more in person with than doing things from a screen the whole time. In the job I'm working in now, so as an assistant psychologist, there's not as much face-to-face clinical practical work as I actually imagined. There's a lot more online virtual stuff, like meetings are all held virtually basically, and assessments we have, it's all online really, but there's also benefits from working from home, so I can't really put too much shame to it.
Yeah, so at the moment I'm in my office. They do say take Mondays and Fridays off where you work at home and then 3 days in the office. It was a bit hard at first because I was working in a gym before, and then I met the CEO and I got speaking to him, and he essentially is the one that got me into the job in itself. And COVID hit even more, so gyms were closed and everything like that, so I had my interviews all online and virtually, which was a bit hard because it's not like you can give out your personality that much, but still got there in the end. But yeah, it has been a bit of a struggle in terms of mental health, but I do like working from home. It is quite a nice balance coming in to the office and seeing everyone and staying at home as well. So yeah.
So it depends what path you want to go down, because some job roles, they might not ask that. I've seen some job roles who do ask for a minimum of 2-1, so it is quite important, but that's not to say that even if you don't get a minimum of 2-1 that it's the end of the world. It is down to what works for you as an individual, not anyone else, just you.
I think I'm the perfect case example here. I actually got 2-2 in my undergrad. Yeah, I kind of initially thought that was going to be very difficult for me to then do a master's. I managed to enroll a master's and get first. So when I graduated with the 2-2, I had a lot of anxiety. I felt really kind of out of place. I thought, this is going to be very difficult for me to then move up the ladder to get postgrad. But I think, it comes back to how you utilize what you have. It's once you get up the employment ladder, your academics are something which holds value, but then your experiences start to come forward. So that becomes the foreground of your portfolio, or who you are as a person, essentially, then moving up the ladder. So initially when you're going into a role, your education works alongside your experiences, but essentially that goes on into the background a bit more, because then your experiences determine where you end up. So I think just see it from that perspective.